I mean, it's so many years ago, 1967, we trained for Ethiopia, and we had gotten married just at the end of college. She was also from Central Illinois. It was one of the program we were in is kind of historic. It's written up as the worst training program in the Peace Corps history. They did terrible things. Ethiopia had some kind of station or CIA state there. I'm not sure exactly what it is to this day, that linked Vietnam to the Western Europe. And there was a lot of suspicion apparently in Ethiopia about American imperialism, and we had people training us, teaching us the language and everything for 6 months on the Navajo reservation in Utah, southern Utah. Ethiopians, all graduate students in America, and some of them actually became part of the Mengistu government later on. But the Peace Corps would de-ascension somebody like that. They would just disappear the next day if they found them smoking pot, or if they found something about them, like they had been members of SDS, all that kind of stuff. And so a program that started with about somewhere around 150, 160 people, by the time we went, I think only had 72. The guy who was the best learner, Amharic, because the language was very difficult. And it turned out he had gone to Harvard. It turned out indeed he was working for the government. He was a spy. He was the rat, apparently. They flunked people out for not being able to master the language to a satisfactory degree like that. When we got on the airplane to go to Ethiopia, it was half filled with people who had trained from Kenya. They decided that they should go to Ethiopia in place of all the people who passed out. And of course, they hadn't studied the language at all. It was a really grueling period of time. It was just awful. We got there, and the tragedy of it is we were in one hotel in Addis, and we were going to a meeting. This is, I think, the second day. And a runaway police van came into the parking lot and hit us getting out of a Land Rover. My wife, Susie, was killed immediately. I was very badly injured. And to this day, there's never been apparently they said he was a drunken policeman, but it could have, the reason I'm going into the detail, it could well have been an anti-American situation. And very shortly after, a couple of years after that Peace Corps period, it did turn into a communist regime. I came back with broken bones and nose and all kinds of stuff. And, had to go to a funeral in the Midwest, in Central Illinois. Her parents were sort of Everett Dirksen Republicans, small town people. They never understood it. I mean, they never understood why she went. I mean, she was the one that actually wanted to go first. And I had to go back. I went through several operations. I'd bitten through my tongue and blah, 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 blah. And the Peace Corps was not a substitute for going in the Army. It's still, the draft was the draft. And by 68, this was early 67 that this happened, September 67, Johnson had done away with the graduate deferments. Or maybe by the end of 68, he did away with it. So that's really an important issue, because he wanted to prove that there was no, elitism to get out of the Army. I mean, he was reacting to a lot of things. And I had managed to defer getting draft visas by ducking into this crazy graduate program, which I could get into out of knowledge of the deed. And it was very important that period because I was at a loss emotionally. I was really reevaluating what I would be doing in life. At first, I thought I would go back in the Peace Corps as I healed. Then they bungled so many things. They didn't send back papers. They didn't give us notice of what happened. They didn't follow through for months and months and months. And there was a time of searching for me, and the camera was the way I did it. I met Meat Yard, as I said. Bob Doherty was very supportive. I even did a workshop with Paul Caponegro, whose wife was from Louisville. I was very, very lucky that I ran into remarkable people in Louisville, Kentucky, who were really at the center of what we would call the serious photographic community at that time. I met Henry Smith. I had Art Sizaba. This was really a, unanticipated piece of luck that changed my life around. I was very desperate and lacking in any direction at that point.